Steve West.
And I'm Dave Greer. And we're the Credit Coaches.
With 14 years of credit repair experience, we're the most trusted and most experienced credit repair company in the state of Louisiana.
And I have over 20 years of financial planning experience, and I'm also a professor of economics at the University of Phoenix. And we created a product just for you that no other company can compete against. The video that you're about to see is divided into two parts. The first part is how we legally remove bad credit from your file. And the second part is how you can build positive credit to add to your file. And that separates us from all the other credit repair companies in the country.
Yeah, David, you'll also see before and after 30-day examples of people getting things off like charge-offs, bankruptcies, judgments, collections, even child support issues in a 30-day span. Even though the program averages 3 to 6 months, we show these 30-day examples. We also show credit scores before and after. And then when the presentation is finished, we'll come back in, answer any questions that you might have, pull your credit reports, that sort of stuff.
And thank you for giving us a chance to present our program for you, and we look forward to helping you in the future.
Credit repair became available in 1996 under President Clinton. What you're seeing now is what the United States Congress says about credit repair in the act they wrote in 1996 called the Credit Repair Service Organizational Act. This act was written to give consumers a second chance. In the act, it says here, consumers have a vital interest in establishing and maintaining their credit worthiness and credit standing in order to obtain and use credit. As a result, consumers who have experienced credit problems may seek assistance from credit repair organizations which offer to improve the credit standing of such consumers. So folks, what we do to assist you in the credit repair process is we actually do this legally by using the laws that govern credit reporting agencies, debt collection companies, and creditors. We use the federal and state law versions. The first set of laws is called the Fair and Accurate Credit Reporting Act, which governs credit reporting agencies. Then you have the Fair Debt Collection Act that governs all collection agencies. And then you have the Fair Billing Act that governs everybody that mails a bill through the mail. And then you have state protections. Experts say that 90% of these laws are broken, which has caused over 80% of people to have problems with their credit, insurance, renting cars, getting jobs, and the list goes on and on and on. So what we do, unlike most credit repair companies in the nation, is we go to the source, not just the credit reporting agency. We attack creditors, debt collectors, and the credit reporting agency. But we do this legally, getting the things erased from all three. So let's say hypothetically a collection agency sends you an item and says that we apologize and we're removing this from your credit report. The credit reporting agency has to actually send you an update. So the next thing I'm going to show you is what results you'll receive within 30 to 45 days as you're going through the credit repair process. These next examples are 30-day intervals. The only thing you're not going to see is people's personal information. So let's get started and let's look at some of these examples. In these first examples, these are going to be Experian credit reports, and they're Experian from Allen, Texas. In this first example here, you can see I got 13 things altogether we were working on, and we got 8 of those things erased the first month, including some of the things you would think wouldn't come off a credit report. That first item on the top there is a bankruptcy, United States Chapter 7 bankruptcy. Then you also have a repossessed car, a foreclosed house, and you got child support and arrears. Some of the things on here say remains, reviewed, updated, means that we're still working on it. Doesn't mean it can't come off, but it just means it hadn't came off yet. In the second example here, what you're going to see here is you're going to see 4 out of 4 items again also deleted in the first 30 days. That top item is an unpaid judgment, a bank, and 2 collections. All 3 deleted in the first month. And then the last example here, you're going to see again 4 out of 4 deleted from the credit report. Now when it says deleted, it means that it has been completely erased from the credit report and it'll never show back up again. Once something's erased, it cannot come back in your credit report. Now let me stop here for a second. A lot of times people ask me, well, what happens if I just pay off all these items? If you pay them off, understand a couple things are going to happen to you. If an item is already 2 or 3 or 4 years old and you pay it, it will reactivate what they call the date of last activity. So when you pay off a negative entry, it actually makes it stay 7 additional years on your credit report. The second thing is, because you have bad credit today, it's of course going to drop your credit score hundreds of points. So first thing is it's going to stay 7 more years. Second thing is it's going to cost you hundreds of points in credit score sometimes. And the third thing, you paid to do that. So it doesn't really make sense. While removing it doesn't pay it off, paying it off doesn't remove it. So you want to, have straight in your mind that if you leave here today and you pay off a collection, it's not going to come off your credit report because you paid it. And if you pay it, it doesn't come off your credit report. So one has nothing to do with the other one. That doesn't mean if you've already paid a whole bunch of items off that it affects what we do. We're just trying to give you some free advice. Let's look now to the TransUnion credit report. Now let's look at TransUnion. TransUnion is from Chester, Pennsylvania, or Fullerton, California. In this example here, you see we got everything deleted on this credit report, including 3 child supports. Those child supports were in arrears. Now it doesn't mean the guy is not paying his child support. He does pay his child support, but it's not reporting to his credit bureau. In this next example, you're going to see here that we got federal and state tax liens erased off this guy's credit report. Those are, again, all done in 30-day intervals. Again, once they are erased off the credit report, you don't see them report to the credit bureau anymore, so nobody can see that the items ever existed. This was also done legally, getting it erased, and it's important that you understand legally means I'm not a computer hacker, we're not computer hackers. What we're doing is we're actually getting the source, the person that put on your credit report, to remove it from your credit report. And then let's look at the Equifax examples. In the state of Louisiana, Equifax is the most important credit report you will have pulled here. If you're buying cars, trucks, guns, boats, it's actually the only report that they'll look at. So let's look at some of these Equifaxes. In this first Equifax updated credit report, you'll see that we were working on actually 9 things there, and in those 9 things, the bottom 7 that we got erased the first 30 days were all student loans. The top shows me that I have 2 more items to work on this person's credit report. It's very important that you understand these updates don't come to us, they come to you, the consumer. So it's important that you forward these updates to us. They come every 30 to 45 days, and they tell us what the next step of the credit report is. In the next example here, you see we had 5 things we were working on. We got 4 of them deleted the very first month. So 4 out of 5 deleted means we have 1 more item left to work on. And these updates will come in every 30-45 days. They're not coming from us. They're coming from the credit bureaus and going to you, and it's your job to get those to us by email, mail, fax, whatever way you got to get them to us. Now let's look at some credit scores. The most important thing in this whole process is that you have a high credit score. So let's look at some credit scores now. In this first example, you can see the person started with a 522 credit score, extremely low. But 2 months later, that person's credit score rose to a 586, still too low to do anything. But 2 months from there, a total of 4 months, the credit score went to a 723 credit score. The average score in Louisiana is a 644. So in the 700s is pretty much going to get whatever they want. Let's look at this next score. In the next example, the credit score started off at a 536 credit score. 2 months from there, it moved up to a 550. And then 2 months from there, moved up to a 654. Now if you're trying to buy a motorcycle, boat, SUV, Sea-Doo, RV, or do financing in a bank, your minimum score needs to be a 650, which means if you're a 649, you're 1 point off. Don't waste your time. You should always find out what your credit score is first, then go to the lender and see if you qualify for it. Let's look at this last example now. This person started off with a 594 credit score, not that far off, but then 4 months later moved completely up to a 747 credit score. Now these examples were only an average of 2 to 4 months, so it's not an overnight process, but it's not a whole heck of a long time. What you don't see with these credit scores is our other part of the program, which our other part of the program is about adding the right positive credit to your credit report. So while we're removing items off these people's credit reports, they're also replacing those items with lenders that we suggest, and we assist you in putting on your credit report, like Whitney, Tesh, Keypoint, Capital One, Orchard, Household, Regions Bank. So we add those kind of items. Even if you have the worst credit in the world today, we're able to do that. The outcome is that you want to have a high credit score, you want to have no debt, and you want to be able to control your credit score. And so I'm going to show you an example here of my own credit score, and then I'm going to show you the after, showing you what I could do with my credit score having no debt on my credit report. Let's look at that now. In this first example, you can see my credit score is a 706 on February 25th. So what I did was I pulled it February 25th. I see it's a 706. Then I changed the way I used my credit, and you see here in the second example, on March 23rd, that's 27 days later, I made my own credit score increase 91 points. We provide our customers with this sort of information. Not only do I get negative things off and teach you how to build credit, but I also assist you in learning how I manipulated my own credit score. I think it's really important that people understand this about credit score. 91 points is an improvement in a 27-day span that's unheard of. So it shows that I know something about the scoring system, and what our company can do for clients is unmatched by any other company in the state of Louisiana. We are the most experienced credit repair company in Louisiana, with the closest thing to us being 1 year in business. We've been now, this year will be our 15th year. Alright, that was program 1. Let's talk now about program 2. We run these two different programs. One just has an added benefit. Through the years we found that identity theft being one of the leading crimes in America, and since we're dealing with people and their credit, that this should be some topic that we should discuss and touch on. One of the top companies in the nation for protecting identity. First of all, people don't realize that there are 5 different identity thefts. Driver's license identity theft, that's where they steal your license, put their picture in your license, and end up doing criminal things with it. Then you have to prove it wasn't you. You got Social Security identity theft, and that's where they steal your Social Security number, work on your Social Security number, don't pay income taxes, and then you have to pay it. Medical identity theft is where they steal your medical information and use your insurance to get operated on. Then when you need it, it's not there. You got character and criminal actions, where they steal your character, your criminal, and do criminal things with it. And then you got the last one, financial transactions, credit, debit card, credit cards, those sort of things. We use a company called Kroll Worldwide. Kroll is a company run by 3,000 ex-CIA, FBI, and Secret Service. Kroll is the same company that restructured Enron. Kroll is also the company that was hired by the Saudi government to find Saddam Hussein's financial network. So they're a major company as far as identity theft protection. A lot of the attorney generals across the United States use Kroll to monitor their own credit reports, so it has a lot to say for that. What Kroll does for our clients is they monitor credit reports. They monitor all 3 credit reports. They give you identity restoration if your identity were to be compromised or stolen. They will restore your identity, and they have continuous monitoring 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on all 5 areas of where your identity can be stolen from. So this is something that you should look at doing once you have your credit straight. You want it to be protected and stay straight. So let's look at also now at the legal protection. So what happens if you're being harassed by a debt collector or a collection agency or a creditor with bad debts, or somebody calling you and telling you that they're going to sue you or garnish your wages, all those sort of different things? This next policy that I'm going to show you is backed by one of the top law firms in the state of Louisiana, if not the top law firm. And what they provide for our clients is, first, they give you legal consultation and advice on any subject. So you can call and talk to 10 attorneys in one day, talk to 20 attorneys in one day. It never costs you more than the fee that it does for the whole program. They write letters and make phone calls on your behalf. So if I've used it for Walmart, wouldn't take back a product. I've used it for the daycare trying to tell me I couldn't bring soy milk in. I've used it for barking dogs. I've used it for car washes flooding my floorboards. So they first give you legal consultation and advice. The second step is to write letters, make phone calls to resolve those issues for you. The third thing is they do what's called a contract and document review. Anytime you buy something, rent something, lease something, finance something, you'll want to have the law firm look at it first before you end up purchasing something or getting yourself into a situation that's going to end up ruining your credit. And then the last thing they do is they do a will preparation for you. So they provide you a will. They say 80% of people across America don't have a will. And wills are not just about finances, but what about your kids? Who's going to raise your kids? How do you want them raised? Where do you want them to go to school at? These are all things that you need to think about, and this again is a preventative legal policy. Let's look at the next step of benefits. In the next part of the policy, what they give you is what's called motor vehicle legal services. Anytime you get a speeding ticket or a seat buckle violation, they go to court, plead it down to a non-moving violation so it doesn't end up on your records. Any kind of speeding tickets or seat belts or all that now are moving violations, so you don't want to have those sort of things on your records. And they handle this nationwide, so this is not just in-state policy. It covers the entire United States. Every year, the law firm gives you a certain amount of hours that sort of like a retainer fee for them. The first year for trial defense, they give you 75 hours of attorney time. The second year that you renew it, it goes up to 117 hours. Third year, 176. Fourth year, 236. And then the last year, it ends up at 295 hours. 295 hours, which is where I'm at right now. So you're talking about the law firm representing on any kind of criminal or civil defenses. They handle up to 300 hours. Now, a lot of times people say, well, how many hours is that? O.J. Simpson used 226 in the Cole case, and if you remember right, he was on television pretty much 2-3 times a week. So, and he only used 226 hours. If you need more than 295 hours, you're probably guilty. And then in the last part of this preventative policy, they give you what's called an IRS audit legal services. They give you 50 hours of an attorney that handles any kind of IRS audit that you may have. God forbid if that ever were to happen to you. You can imagine how costly it would be if you didn't have somebody represent you. That's pretty much it for the preventative legal policy. Now let's talk about what they call the legal shield. The legal shield is a card that you hand law enforcement, or if you're injured, if you're in a state that tries to take your children, if you're served a warrant, it evokes your Miranda rights. It automatically tells the police officer that you are represented by an attorney. So rather than them search you or arrest you or do all those sort of things, they are having to notify your attorney before they can ask you questions or search you or seize your vehicle or take your children, any of those kind of things. So it's an excellent tool. When you get stopped for a speeding ticket, you give it to the law enforcement agency, and they can't they can't ask you questions or do any of those sort of things unless they get your attorney. Okay, we have two different programs. Program number 1 is only $900, and that includes all our seminars and everything for $900. Program number 2, with the legal protection, we drop our price from $900 down to $800 with the legal protection, which is also the legal protection by itself.